Welcome to the Year of the Movie podcast, the podcast where we talk about movies from the year of the movie 2023. We're back. We weren't gone, but we're back.
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a break for us, from recording.
Yeah, we built a backlog, which was smart.
And then we went through it, and now we gotta
build it up again.
We gotta build it up again.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's planning.
Why did we start this podcast?
I've never really thought about it before.
Well, I have.
Can I guess your answer?
Yeah, you can guess.
Okay. I bet you're going to say something like, we started this podcast because 2023 was a quirky year for movies.
Yeah, I think quirky is the right word.
Yeah. And you've got the classics like 65 and 80 for Brady and Strays.
Everyone's talking about them.
We're talking about them.
It's definitely not a week before Oscars at the time of record. I guess this goes up just before the Oscars.
Yeah, this goes out Wednesday. It's Monday. This is a close turnaround for us. Great. So, yeah, we're talking about one of the Oscars contenders.
That's true. The Holdovers. But before we get there, if you like this podcast, follow us on Instagram and support us on Patreon. It really helps us.
It does. And or you can rate and review on your favorite podcasting platform.
That's true.
It helps with the algorithms.
And you can leave comments on YouTube, Instagram, or Patreon, and we might respond to them in a different podcast we do.
Virtual House Sessions.
With our friends Sean and Bryce.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a video viewer watching this podcast right now, you might be thinking,
that room looks exactly the same.
That's a really good set that you guys have.
First of all, thank you.
Yeah, the room we're in, we're changing.
So that's why it looks like this.
And we had to film in the middle of it, so it's not super pretty, but
it's beautiful, actually.
We got a map of our hometown.
Yeah.
So
my favorite part is that the police building has a moon on it. This must be really good if you're just listening to the audio.
Yeah.
And then also the restaurant, one that just says restaurant, and the other one that exclusively has hamburgers and just says HB on it.
Oh, that is very good.
Yeah.
I like the 3 telephone booths.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to each other. It just said, and a sign next to it that says TEL.
This is a period piece.
Yeah.
Because there are telephone booths.
Speaking of period pieces, Holdovers.
Seamless transition. So The Holdovers is a curmudgeonly instructor at a New England prep school remains on campus during Christmas break to babysit a handful of students with nowhere to go. He soon forms an unlikely bond with a brainy but damaged troublemaker and with the school's head cook, a woman who just lost a son in the Vietnam War. What were your first impressions when you heard about this movie?
I was excited.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really good. I thought it was, just about people, and I like things that are just about people. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I don't like this description, but I really like character movies.
Yeah.
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 Like, why aren't all movies character movies? But yeah, this is definitely one of those where it is, about people. And the trailer looks cool, and it was one of the movies that I saw and I was like, oh, okay, so this is the cinema side of the 2020 movies.
I definitely, like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be an Oscar nom, like, at the very least for one of the actors. And correct. I also like the actress who plays Mary. I know her. The first thing I saw her in was Zoe Kravitz's High Fidelity Hulu show. Yeah. And that was really good. Yeah. Unfortunately, got canceled after one season. Yeah. Which was a bummer. But, yeah. And obviously, Paul Giamatti is Paul Giamatti.
Yeah. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah. Should we talk about the trailer?
Yeah, we can talk about the trailer.
Great. Why do we do that?
I've actually never thought about it.
Hmm.
Have you thought about
I
it?
have. Do you want to guess what
I
mine is?
don't want to guess.
We talk about the trailer because it's not fun for us to just like play it on an audio format. Also, we probably can't legally do that.
No, we can't.
And then if the trailer sounds interesting or you haven't seen a movie and then you hear the description of it and you're like, yeah, that sounds cool, then you should watch it. We are kind of just doing like a vibe assessment of the trailer instead of doing like a shot for shot breakdown like we have been doing. This one's a little more descriptive just because like
Sorry, I noticed that
just so
there's no train on the train tracks.
you can add one yourself.
Maybe it's in this
It's DIY.
faux mountain.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
Anyway.
got distracted.
This
Just want to play with my cars.
yeah, this is a little bit more of a descriptive trailer just because there's so much dialogue in it that I
Yeah,
figured that was
sure.
the best way to describe what's going on.
Is it your turn?
Yes. I don't know.
I think it might be my turn.
Okay.
Because the last one we did at the sanctuary, and I feel like you did it.
Probably.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Trailer description
Mm-hmm.
coming at you in 10.
Oh.
A series of graded tests land on desks, all with D's and F's. The student questions his grade to the teacher, saying, "I can't fail this class." And the teacher responds, "Don't sell yourself short. I truly believe that you can." There are lots of shots of life in a prestigious boarding school during the 70s, while the narrator explains, "Every year at Barton Academy, students, faculty, and staff depart from campus on a 2-week winter break. But there are always an unfortunate few who have nowhere to go for the holidays. They're known as the holdovers. We see Mr. Hunnam with a group of students together, and we see the school cook Mary talk to the teacher, the group of students talking about how that teacher used to be a student at the same school. Things get more tense with the group, specifically between Mr. Hunnam and Angus Tolley, as the rest of the holdovers are seen flying away in a helicopter. Mr. Hunnam goes on a rant saying he was praying Angus's mom would pick up the phone, or his dad would also arrive in a helicopter before Angus interrupts him to say his dad is dead. The funky 70s music that had been playing cuts out, acoustic guitar starts to play. There are still tense conversations between the group, but we also see Mary mourning a photo and Angus and Mr. Hunnam actually communicating more. Hunnam says, "I find the world to be a bitter and complicated place, and it seems to feel the same way about me. I think you and I have this in common." The music changes again to "No Matter What" by Badfinger. Hunnam and Angus go to a museum together. There's lots more common ground found between the two in a series of quicker shots. The last sequence is Angus jumping on a springboard in the gym after Hunnam tells him to stop. Angus starts screaming after he lands out of sight, and it ends on a freeze frame of Hunnam's face starting to yell.
Yeah. It's very 70s. It's very New England. Yeah, it does the thing of like, here's a preview of the trailer that's about to start playing, and it shows you the clips of the trailer that's you're actively watching, and then just the narrator voice, like the specific tone of the narrator voice was like very throwback of not like the In a World type of thing, but just very deep and dramatic. Yeah, it's definitely a good visual thing. It's hard to describe on a podcast. Should we talk about the movie?
I mean, yeah, we should talk about the movie. That's what we do.
Huh.
It's just kind of what we do on a podcast about
just
movies.
Didn't know if you wanted to keep talking about the map of our hometown.
No,
No?
I'm pretty serious about just staying on topic. I don't know why you keep bringing up. There's no train. So the cast, Paul Giamatti plays Paul Hunnam.
The teacher.
Yep.
The curmudgeon.
Yep. Is it Divine?
I've seen Devine. Devine Joy Randolph.
Devine Joy Randolph plays Mary Lamb. She's the cook.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Sessa as Angus Tolley. He's like the main holdover kid.
Yeah.
Carrie Preston as Lydia Crane.
She's like a secretary at the school.
Naheem Garcia is Danny.
He is the janitor.
Andrew Garman as Dr. Hardy Woodrup.
He is the superintendent,
Like the dean.
headmaster.
Headmaster, yeah. Andrew Garman as Dr. Hardy. I said
You
that.
said that.
So and then next we go to Andrew Garman as Dr. Brady Hepner as Teddy Kuntz.
He's one of the students. He's the kid that's in the trailer who's like, I can't fail this class.
Ian Dolly as Alex Allerman.
He is the Mormon kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Provost as Jason Smith.
He's the surfer dude or skier dude.
He's a jock.
He's the jock.
He's a football player.
Yeah.
Jim Kaplan as Yejun Park.
He is the
Other
kid.
Yeah, pretty. That's kind of.
He's there very briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just do a general plot layout or setup, I guess. It's just, like the trailer says, kids are staying, or like some of them can't go home for a break. So it's these five, four,
Three. Two.
two.
Well, it's five.
It's five, yeah. It's those five who are staying over. Paul Giamatti's character isn't supposed to be like the babysitter teacher, but then another guy was like, "Oh no, my mom has lupus."
He lied.
Yeah.
He's a liar.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I don't know why you're upset, because you weren't going to go anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
'Cause
They also like, they know that guy is lying,
Yeah.
and Paul Hunnam is not well liked, so everyone is just like,
Yeah.
oops, he's got to do this now. And then Mary is also staying because her son died a year ago, and she's doing okay, but she doesn't want to necessarily do like a festive Christmas
Yeah.
with her other family members. So she's staying. And then it's like a couple days in, Hunnam is still like being really strict. He is making them do like a regular school schedule and everything. And then the one dude, Jason Smith, because like all the kids are talking about like the reasons why they couldn't go home. And Jason said he's got long hair, and he was like, my dad said I couldn't come home until I cut my hair. And they were like, why don't you just cut your hair? And he's like, because I didn't expect him to like hold out this long or something like that. It seems like they're like,
He's rebelling a little bit.
yeah, he's rebelling, and it seems like they like have like a macho manly relationship, but they don't actually, 'cause
Yeah.
just in like the little things that they say about it, where he's like the dad he works with helicopters a lot, so he like flies to the school and to pick up his kid, and he's like, that old softy. I
Yeah.
knew he would come around. And then he basically takes everyone else with him, except for Angus, because they couldn't get in contact with his mom to ask for permission, so he has to stay behind.
And Angus is only staying behind, like he found out he was staying behind the day he was supposed to leave.
Yeah.
His mom called, and the mom was like, oh yeah, my new husband and I are actually going to go on a honeymoon since we haven't been able to.
Yeah. So he's bummed,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah. And then the other kids, Angus is the for sure the saddest reason of any of them.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like pretty practical, except for Jason, I guess. But like everyone else is like Yejun Park is from Korea, so his family is like, that's too far for you to travel by yourself.
Yeah.
The Alex Allerman, his parents are on a mission trip, and then
Kuntz was sort of a maybe it's not real.
Yeah.
His reasoning was, I guess, his parents are renovating their house.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
No one likes him in like a different way that no one likes Hunnam.
Yeah.
Where like, yeah, he and Angus don't get along. They kind of fight each other at one point. And then Angus said something like, "Do you really think the real reason like that you aren't going home is because of a like renovation? It's the winter. Who renovates their house in the winter? They just said that so that
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to deal with you." And you just see his face fall. Yeah. Good cast.
It's a good cast.
Good cast.
Everyone did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. So the rest of the holdovers leave, and then it's just Paul Hunnam, Mary Lamb, and Angus Tolley basically there with Danny every once in a while.
Yeah, Danny kind of just shows up.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So it's them for the rest of the 2 weeks. They get closer together. You find out different stuff about the characters,
Really?
like you would in a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I figured they just kind of like stood there
A good visual joke.
for 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else right now you want to talk about?
They all become friends.
They all become friends.
Like the three.
Yeah.
They're all friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're spoiling the movie. They go. Angus wanted to go to Boston on his trip, on his vacation, and so after bonding more with Hunnam and Mary, he was able to convince Hunnam to go to Boston, and that's when you see like the museum in the trailer. They're in Boston.
Yeah.
And then Angus tries to sneak away, but gets caught, and Hunnam is like, seriously? Like, things, like, we were good, why are you doing this? And Angus was like, I'm gonna go visit my dad. And Hunnam was like, well, obviously we can go to a cemetery.
Yeah.
And then they go to an asylum, because his dad is still alive, but was
He had a
institutionalized.
break. Yeah, he's institutionalized. He's not in touch with reality, really. Like, he recognizes Angus, but Angus is like, I'm doing pretty well in school. I'm not going to get kicked out this time, because that's another thing, is like, he's doing well, but he's been kicked out 3 times. And all this other stuff. And then, like, the dad's response is, I think they're putting something in my food.
Yeah.
So he's got some complicated feelings about his dad.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that he relates with Hunnam on. Because Hunnam also has that.
Yeah, Hunnam's dad was abusive. Yeah. And then they come back, the like vacation's over, everyone comes back to school. And then Angus's mom and stepdad are talking to the headmaster, and they're upset, and they bring Hunnam in, and they explain that Angus's dad now
he now expects visits.
He attacked an orderly because of that visit.
Or he had a snow globe that you saw, like, there's a shot of it in the trailer. So Angus brought him a snow globe for Christmas, and then he used that as a weapon.
And so the mom is like, I know Angus can be very convincing. What did he do? Like, I'm not upset at you, Mr. Hunnam. What did Angus do?
Yeah.
And then the stepdad was like, we'll be sending him to the military school. And then Mr. Hunnam was like, it was my idea. I convinced him, and he just took a bullet.
Yeah.
And he obviously lost his job, but Angus was able to stay at the school. And it goes back to, throughout the movie, it starts out where, like, Angus lies about something. It's when he breaks his arm, or he dislocates his shoulder because he jumped over the gymnastics stuff.
In a gross scene
Yeah.
in the movie.
He dislocates his shoulder, and they go to the hospital, and the hospital asks Angus for his insurance, and Angus starts to lie,
Because if they give him insurance, then his mom will find out, and he doesn't want her to
and
find
then
out.
Mr. Hunnam would get in trouble.
Yeah.
And Angus, despite being kind of a complicated kid who gets into trouble a lot, he does still care.
Yeah.
He starts to lie, and Mr. Hunnam is like, what, is very confused. And then afterwards, Mr. Hunnam is like, Barton men don't lie. And then like that goes throughout the whole movie. And then at the end,
Yeah.
Mr. Hunnam kind of, he moves on from Barton, the school that he went to as a kid, and then started teaching at, and then like he lies to move on, and it's very
Yeah.
very,
There's also, I mean, there's a lot of different beats that come back
Yeah.
of like the lying, because then you also find out that Mr. Hunnam loves, like, his whole life is Barton. He got a scholarship there when he was 15, so that's like the last time that he saw his dad was he just went to school and
Yeah.
never went back. And then he went to Yale and then Harvard, and then was accused of cheating by like the son of a big donor
Yeah.
or something. But really that kid copied him, and then to cover his tracks accused Hunnam of plagiarizing him.
yeah.
So like he's telling Angus all of that, and Angus is like, you got kicked out of Harvard for plagiarizing? And he was like, no, I got kicked out of Harvard for punching that, or like for
Yeah.
hitting that guy. And he was like, you punched him? He's like, no, I hit him with my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like another thing of like the Barton men don't lie, where Hunnam has kind of built up this image of himself as like a really academic guy, and he is. But so like all of that happened. He explains that the like former headmaster invited him back to Barton to be an adjunct professor, and then he kind of rebuilt his life from there.
Yeah.
So that's why he's so like strict about everything. Is like it means a lot to him, and then he gives all that up for Angus, for like a kid that deserves it, because he's been talking this entire time about like privileged kids and how much they suck. Yeah, there's also the military school threat that comes up a lot, where like being sent to any kind of military academy to get discipline in a kid is like meh
Yeah.
any other time, but also this is the winter of 1970 into 1971, and they keep talking about Vietnam, so like it's way more of an active threat for like how this will impact the rest of Angus's life
Yeah.
than just like he needs discipline. It's like
Yeah, and then like that relates to the character Mary Lamb, just her son died in Vietnam, and he was also a student at Barton, because she works there, and so he was able to go there. And there's a great conversation between Hunnam and Angus, like about kids and the privilege that they have, and like how Barton kids don't go to military academies or like into the army or whatever.
or they don't. Yeah, he says like Barton men don't lie. Barton men don't go to Vietnam.
And
And
then
then
Angus is like, except for
Curtis.
Curtis.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Hunnam's like, except for Curtis.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hunnam, throughout the movie, despite being very grumpy and whatever to everybody else, is
Yeah.
always incredibly kind to
Yeah.
Mary Lamb.
Yeah. He invites her to eat dinner with them, like the first
Yeah.
night that all of the holdovers are there. And what's his face? The Teddy Kuntz is like, yeah, he like looks up like shocked, and then
Yeah.
and she sees that and she's like, no, I'm good actually.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to eat with a racist kid. Yeah, he's very 70s progressive, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very aware of his position and of the people that he teaches, and like
Yeah.
how insular that environment is. And the movie, I feel like, really acknowledges that, of like even in like some of the production stuff that I was looking up, then the director and the set designer were both saying like it was relatively easy to make a 1970s setting in New England because New England just moves so slowly.
Yeah.
And academia moves even slower. So yeah, the movie acknowledges that stuff as much as possible for like being set in the 70s but made for 2023 audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also with the Vietnam stuff and just I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this because like this movie saw the trailer and was like cool, Dead Poet Society, like that's the thing that you think of when you see it, and like
Yeah.
yes, but it made me because I've only seen Dead Poet Society once and that was a while ago, but it made me wonder how much like that movie really acknowledges like how young everyone is because The
Yeah.
Holdovers really goes out of its way to
Yeah.
say that of like yeah it seems like a college, like it seems like Oxford, like it's very like everyone is in uniforms, they're doing like really highbrow stuff, everyone says like yes sir and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but then there are these shots like in the chapel of like the in memoriam section of a wall for all of the students who have died in wars, and it says like graduated in like 1960, died 1962.
Yeah.
Like it shows like these are young people, and Mary says that too with she talks about Curtis, and then she talks about Curtis's dad who died in an accident at work, and then Curtis died, and she's like neither one of them lived to 25. So that was just a thing that
Yeah.
I noticed more because that's how old we are.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel like it also, with like the showing how young, like they did a good job of showing, like romantic relationships of that age.
Yeah.
Because like they go to a Christmas party that the secretary throws, and like her niece is there,
Hmm.
and like Angus, like they both like they show like the both of them like kind of like look at each other and like that way of, oh, a cute person my age.
Yeah.
And then like they share like a kiss, and they're just like ha ha hee hee,
Yeah.
and that's basically all it is. Like it's not over the top, like it doesn't
Yeah.
show them making out, like it's just like these are children but they do still have these feelings.
Yeah.
That's
There's the when all of the you see like the dormitories when all of the guys are getting ready to leave and they're like being really rowdy and whatever, and like they're making your mom jokes and stuff like that, and they're like, I'm gonna get so many babes over the break
Yeah.
and stuff, and then you see like a little kiss and like tee hee.
yeah.
Yeah. Stuff we liked,
All of it.
all of it for the most part. Yeah,
They made a 70s movie,
they did.
not just a movie set in the 70s, but they made a 70s movie.
They did. So the cinematography is a big aspect of that.
Yeah.
So I found some stuff that I put here instead of in the production notes section because it made more sense. But the cinematographer Eigil Brild, I think, he's Dutch. So he wanted to use 70s tools and film stock at first to like really sell the vibe, but they aren't super available, shockingly. And then he described in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter that the movie is basically like a series of vintage portraits at first, especially like as the characters are very separated from each other at the beginning, and then as they evolve in their relationships, then the framing brings everyone like closer and closer together and puts them in pairs more. He also was the cinematographer for another 2023 movie, No Hard Feelings. So we'll have to watch that. That's
Wildly different movie, but I'm also looking at his IMDb.
yeah,
Also, The Machine.
yeah.
He did three
2023 movies.
2023 movies. 2 of them are just like whatever comedies.
And then this one.
And then he also did In Bruges.
Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good resume, this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't sure how to describe this in the stuff I liked section. So I just put the vibe. I feel like it's a specific vibe.
A good vibe.
It's
Yeah.
a chill vibe.
The thing that a friend of the channel who's been on a couple episodes, Sean Braley, said he was just like, yeah, it was just like a good movie that I would recommend to anybody. Because he was talking about another movie, Zone of Interest, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I liked that movie, but it's not one that I would recommend to everybody. But like this movie, The Holdovers, I would recommend to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good vibe. It, again, part of that 70s feel is like 70s movies. A guy that we worked with recently was just talking about this. But how 70s movies like just show everything. Like if a character goes from A to B, then you will see that character walk from A to
And I
B.
definitely noticed that in this, because like they cut to a shot of the secretary walking, and she starts at the far end of the hallway, and then comes all the way, and then the camera pans and follows her, and I'm just like,
they show the entire sequence, and like, just let the whole thing roll, and
and I love that. That's like definitely, I feel like a style that I try to go for.
Yeah, I like that. This is not like it's a little similar, but the Studio Ghibli movies kind of do a similar thing of just like let it breathe and let things just like happen on screen, and you don't need to do like cut. Then that was another. Those are just together in my head because of that. Anything in the 70s and Kiki. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but the performances from everyone are great, and there are nominations for everyone showing that.
What all were the nominations for this one?
So I have an awards section now that's later in the production facts. But Davine Joy Randolph has definitely been highlighted. Paul Giamatti has too. So we'll get into their awards later. But yeah, just even the people that are like kind of barely on screen, they really still add to the general world. And like the one guy, Jason Smith, or that character, like he's not really there for that long, but you get a good sense of like who he, like the type of person that he is, and then
because then at the end he shows up again and his hair's cut.
So you see him have compromise with his dad in a very funny macho way, and then the jerk kid who went skiing with them, then he comes back with like sunburn all over his face, and he's the only one who got burned on this vacation. Special things or specific things to highlight. I just had Mary as a character, and then I found I don't have too many quotes from like interviews and stuff in this notes, but I found one from her in an interview with NPR of like why she said yes to the holdovers. And she said, I think the biggest thing was that there was room for me to fill in the blanks. Sometimes I fill in the blanks, and that means, quite frankly, the work wasn't fully done. They overwrite it or they don't write enough, and this was in a really sweet spot where they were clear in their intention of what it was that they wanted, and from the jump I felt welcomed in. I really wanted to make sure that Mary was someone that people could really connect with no matter what they looked like. I'm always trying to leave Easter eggs or subliminal messages with my characters, but especially with her. Certain nuances of how she wore her hair or her glasses. I showed the props team a picture of my grandmother with her glasses, and I said, if you could find these, that would be really awesome, and they did. So it seems like she really pays attention to like how she wants to present all of her characters.
No, she's definitely like someone that definitely puts subtlety. Like I just
Mhm.
like the high fidelity character is sort of like a comedic relief, but there are moments where it's like, oh no, this person like has their own life and feelings and
Mhm.
everything. It's just like very subtle moments.
Yeah. The like IMDb Rising Star video that I watched about her highlighted High Fidelity as like one of her personal favorite performances, and then I forget if it was in the NPR video or interview or that where she was saying like she always assumes that whoever she's playing is like the best at what they do, unless the script specifically says that they aren't. So like the the image of those characters is very important to her, and for this movie she like came prepared with like a lookbook of like 200 hairstyles of like this is who this is.
Yeah.
So she pays attention and puts a lot of detail
Yeah.
in stuff that she does. I also saw she was in The Idol.
I did, yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
as the like no nonsense manager or something like that.
Yeah.
I really know as little as possible about The Idol.
That's for the best, I
Yeah,
think.
but apparently she like basically provided her entire wardrobe for that character because she was like, I know what I want this person to look like,
Yeah.
and also I'm gonna be realistic about the speed that television moves, and she is a plus size person, so she was like, we can't really get the things custom fit
Yeah.
in time for the way that I want this character to be. So it's in my closet.
Nice.
Yeah. Production facts or anything else specific we want to highlight?
I think production facts.
Great. It premiered August 31st, 2023 at the Telluride Film Festival, and it had an October 27th wide release. It has a 2-hour and 13-minute runtime with an R rating, which, like, makes sense. R also just seems a lot for this. I don't know. It's not PG-13, but I think there needs to be another rating in between PG-13 and R.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 92% audience score, an 82 out of 100 on Metacritic, and an A on CinemaScore. People like this movie.
That's good.
The audience consensus on Rotten Tomatoes says cute and touching, if not laugh out loud hilarious. The Holdovers is a thought-provoking dramedy for viewers seeking a dialogue-driven movie with a throwback feel. There were, like, I figured it would be like chuckle-worthy
Yeah.
at times, but there were more moments than I expected that like we laughed out loud while watching it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the moment when he dislocates his shoulder. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, he runs across the gym, does a flip, it's quiet for a second, and then he pops up screaming.
Yeah.
It's very
It's
funny.
also I also wasn't sure if he was faking it at first
Yeah.
because he's been a little shit this entire
Yeah.
time.
Was this a financially successful movie?
Yes? Question mark.
This budget seems low.
Yes.
I
So
don't. I feel like I'd put a 0 on that.
I agree. So from a single website that I could find, it said that the budget for this movie was $200,000. I can't the way that they
Paul Giamatti feels too big
I
of a
know.
star.
but the way that they phrased it was like he made a 70s budget or like a 70s movie on a 70s budget or something. But so like everything else that I could find was like Alexander Payne, the director. They're like he's known for making like big like high box office numbers on a low budget, and then it didn't give me a specific number, or if it did, then it was behind a paywall, and that's very frustrating. I'm not going to subscribe to something for $1.99 a month so I can learn how much the holdovers cost.
Yeah.
But the box office, it earned right now $42.2 million. 20.2 million of that is domestic, and then the other 22 is from other territories. It made $211,093 in its opening weekend, which isn't a lot, but that's either one, its entire budget, but two, that's also from 6 theaters, and then It expanded to 64 theaters in the second weekend, making almost $600,000, and then it made $3.2 million in its third weekend at 778 theaters. So it really just like ballooned out from there, and then once it got Oscar nominations and other awards like Golden Globes and stuff, then that went up again.
Yeah.
Brief production timeline. The director, Alexander Payne, was inspired by the 1935 film Merlusse. Is that how you say that? It's French.
Huh? Where?
Merlusse.
Sure.
Great. Merlusse. Which is apparently another dramedy. So then he contacted David Hemingston to write, since Alexander Payne had read Hemingston's boarding school pilot. So he contacted him to write this movie.
Yeah.
And then in June of 2021, Miramax acquired the distribution rights. And then 2022, Davine Joy Randolph and Carrie Preston joined the cast. I think around that time, then Paul Giamatti also did. And then there was filming in Boston from January 27th, 2022 until late March. And then there was a buyer screening that was held on September 11th, 2022. And then Focus Features acquired distribution rights the next day for $30 million. So I think whatever its budget is, it made it back. Yeah. So awards. It was named one of the top 10 films of 2023 by the American Film Institute and the National Board of Review. Davine Joy Randolph won Best Supporting Actress at the Critics' Choice Award, BAFTAs, and Golden Globes.
Nice.
Paul Giamatti won Best Actor at Critics' Choice Awards and the Golden Globes. And then Dominic Sessa won the Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Young Performer. We also forgot to mention earlier, this is his first movie.
Oh, yeah. It's his first anything on
His
IMDb.
first anything, yeah. His IMDb credits are this, One Other Thing, and then himself in a Made in Hollywood episode. And then it's nominated for 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. I believe Paul Giamatti is nominated. The director is nominated. I forgot to look up the rest of them.
The other thing isn't out yet.
The other thing isn't out yet?
On Dominic Sessa's IMDb, it's not out. It just says actor. And when I checked his IMDb, that wasn't there. So
that's new?
That's new.
Okay. I'm trying to look at their Oscars on IMDb, but it's being so slow. Okay. It's nominated for Best Motion Picture of the Year, Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role, Paul Giamatti, Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role, Davine Joy Randolph, Best Original Screenplay for David Hemingston, and then Best Achievement in Film Editing for Kevin Tent. Good for you, Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good editing.
Yeah.
This is the second time Alexander Payne and Paul Giamatti have worked together. The first time was the 2004 film Sideways, which won an Oscar for screenwriting and nominations for directing and Best Picture. David Hemingston revealed that this is a semi-autobiographical movie with some dialogue and scenes taken directly from his life. There's a brief moment where a sex worker approaches Paul Giamatti while they're in Boston, and she comes up to him, and it's just like a quick exchange where like Paul has made it pretty clear that like he is very comfortable being alone.
Yeah. And
like he almost got married at one point, and then he phrases it, that was good. He phrases it as like then we came to our senses and we stopped being engaged. So he's like, he's kind of interested in Miss Crane too, but then he finds out she has a boyfriend, and he's like, meh, whatever. Like he's fine after that. So she's like, she approaches him, and he's like, oh no, thank you. And then she says like the kid can wait around the corner or something like that. And apparently that was a direct thing that was taken from David Hemingston's life. He was like, I have a 7-year-old with my uncle. And then that happened. And then trying to get Cherry's Jubilee for Angus at a restaurant was also a thing that directly came from his life. Which is another brief thing of the three of them get dinner together before they head back from Boston, and the waitress refuses to give Angus Cherry's Jubilee.
Yeah.
Yeah. They filmed at 5 locations to get the look of Barton Academy. So it's like one of them was for exteriors, and then like a bunch of them were, it's like the gym at one school, and then like the hallways in another school, and the chapel at another place. And yeah, which like is impressive, because I was watching that thinking like, this is a very specific location if all of this is from one place. But they filmed at 5 different schools, including Deerfield Academy, which Dominic Sessa attended in 2022. And then apparently he stayed in his old dorm room while they were filming.
That's fun.
And then in the title sequence, also with that 70s feel, they do like throwback logos for all of the companies. And the Miramax and Focus Features didn't exist in the 70s, so their throwback logos had to be invented. And Miramax loved theirs so much that they hired the graphic designer to create their new logo, which debuted in Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre, which is another 2023 movie that we have to watch.
Not one I look forward to.
It's got Hugh Grant in it, I think, and maybe Aubrey Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. So Miramax just really liked the logo.
I mean, that's good, I
They were
guess.
like, we want this guy. Yeah.
Well,
That's all I got until we get to our ratings.
shall we rate it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So we have a rating system. It's out of 4 with 5 options. A 0 out of 4 is no. Stop. Do not make film. 1 out of 4 is that was a movie. 2 is that's well made. 3 is it's enjoyable and kind of technically good. And 4 is Oscar worthy. I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4.
It's
Yeah.
pretty obvious.
Yeah. It's
5 nominations.
Yeah. It is for being a movie about like stuffy academic guy in the 70s. It handles things like race and politics
Yeah.
and privilege pretty well in a satisfying way that I'm cool with it. So 4.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
good. I think it's definitely one of my favorites that we've watched so far.
Yeah. It's definitely this is like we talk about rewatchability a lot, and this is very rewatchable.
This is one I want to rewatch.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Outro. Another movie we've watched.
Yeah, we always talk about other movies that we watched, because we watch a lot of movies. So other movies that we call this 2023 in quotes, and we did that because like it was 2023, and then we watched movies.
It should probably just be other movies.
So it should just be other movies now, because it's 2024 now.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
I feel like the audience doesn't even know that.
There are no trains on this.
We watched Sing Street.
We watched Sing Street. That was good.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
It's a John Carney movie. He did Once and then Begin Again. Sing Street. It's about kids in Dublin, Ireland in 1985 who make a band. It's real good.
It was a good movie.
Yep.
I also watched The Box Trolls recently. I like that movie. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Would recommend.
So follow us on Instagram.
Thank you for listening. You can follow us on places, Instagram, and rating and reviewing and all the other things that we mentioned at the beginning of the episode. We appreciate it. Check out the Virtual House Sessions podcast if you have questions, and we'll answer them there, because that's like our housekeeping place where we do those things. Yep.
But for now, we'll see you next week.
Bye.